Good afternoon, everybody. My presentation is on green glass. One of our favourite things to do on a rainy day is to visit Memory Lane. There is so much to see there. Tony and I decided on one of these visits that he would like to start collecting green glass. So this was the beginning. The first purchase was a vintage green glass decanter, circa 1950s-60s. The note with it read, and I'll quote, L.J. Guinness, green genie bottle, Captain's Table, Canadian whiskey collectible, liquor alcohol decanter. This bottle was manufactured from heavyweight glass in emerald green. The bottle forms a unique genie shape and makes a wonderful decanter. It would make a wonderful addition to any home bar or china display cabinet to be used as a fashionable decanter for wines and spirits. The bottle is, of course, now empty, unquote. Captain's Table was a brand of Canadian whiskey manufactured by L.J. McGuinness Distillery Company, which operated in the West End of Toronto, Ontario, from the 1920s through the 1970s. This bottle can easily be dated as mid-late 1960s from both the labelling and the base stamp, which reads, L.J. McGuinness & Co. Limited, bottle made in Canada, 25 ounces. McGuinness was bought out by Standard Brands at the end of 1969, and the bottles were then changed to reflect the new name. One of our favourites is a German Roma. The word Roma was derived from the Latin word Roma for Rome and dedicated to the Romans, who initially brought the first grapevines into Germany. It also refers to the custom of using this style of glass to toast the Holy Roman Emperor. Today in Germany, the Roma is regarded as a traditional toasting glass, and the English pronounce it Ruma. France had a large influence in the design of these wine glasses, particularly from the province of Alsace, which is just across the Rhine from Germany. Alsatians produce two traditional white wines, Rieslings and Gewürztraminer. And these wines were and continue to be bottled in green bottles and served in special glasses with clear bowls and green stems. Over the years, wine glasses started to look more sophisticated. Engraving was added to the bowls for the decoration, and sometimes gold was added to the rims. Wine connoisseurs started recommending that wine should be served in a clear wine glass, and eventually just the stems were kept green. It is also thought that the green stems would reflect the colour of the pale wines of the regions into the clear bowls. Some stems were studded with prunts. That's the prunts on there. A prunt is a small blob of glass fused to another piece of glass. Prunts are applied primarily as decoration, but also help provide a firm grip in the absence of a handle. Prunts may be impressed into decorative shapes such as raspberries, blackberries, or lion's heads. Tony also has pieces of glass that are manufactured in Sweden and Japan and the United States. And now I'm going on to Italian green glass. When discussing mid-20th century modern Italian glass, virtually everybody's minds immediately leap to Venice and Murano, and the northeast coast of Italy. Most collectors and dealers are unaware of another almost equally famous centre of Italian glassmaking known as Empoli. Empoli is a region on the west side of Italy, southwest of Florence in the province of Tuscany. Like its better known counterparts in the northeast, Empoli has been producing and exporting glass since the 14th century. For centuries, green glass was trademark colour of Empoli. The Empoli green, known as Empoli Verde, was created from the iron that occurred locally in the sands of the Empoli region. Empoli glass is generally much simpler than other Italian glass and does not have the intricately applied trim or internal decorations associated with Venetian and Murano pieces. The simple traditional styles of Empoli glass were quickly adapted to the sparse, abstract shapes of the mid-20th century modernism. The vast majority of mid-century styled Empoli glass was made for the American market. It should be kept in mind that Empoli is a region where there were many glass companies and not one specific glass company. The great majority of Empoli glass imported into the United States during the 1950s and 60s was marked only with relatively generic made in Italy paper or foil labels. Over time, many of the original labels have fallen off, and the majority of Empoli glass in today's market is largely unmarked. Some pieces of Empoli are very similar to shapes and colours made by the American glassmaker Blenco, and it's very common to find Empoli offered as Blenco either through ignorance or deliberately. There are several ways to separate Italian Empoli glass from American Blenco. First, Empoli glass never has a pontil mark on the base. Virtually all Blenco has a pontil. Empoli glass is typically quite thin-walled, not much more than 1/8 of an inch. Blenco generally has thicker walls, usually over 1/8 of an inch thick. Empoli stoppers and the mouths of the decanters and bottles they fit are smooth and not ground. Finally, all Blenco shapes can be confirmed by their appearance in original Blenco company catalogues. There is no single source of company catalogues to confirm Empoli shapes. Most Empoli glass is documented by its appearance in the catalogues of American gift importers and retailers. And now, vintage Bohemian Czech glass. Bohemia, currently a part of the Czech Republic, became famous for its beautiful and colourful glass during the Renaissance. The history of Bohemian glass started with the abundant natural resources found in the countryside. Bohemian glass workers discovered potash, combined with chalk, created a clear, colourless glass that was more stable than glass from Italy. In the 16th century, the term Bohemian crystal was used for the first time to distinguish its qualities from glass made elsewhere. This glass contained no lead, as is commonly suspected. Medieval glassworks did not produce merely greenish so-called forest glass, but also clear glass, unlike the other Central European countries. Bohemian medieval glassmakers were also able to colour the glass with various metal oxides, blue with cobalt, red with copper, light green with iron. Coloured glass mass was used for decorative purposes, mainly knobs, ribs, and also stained glass panes were made from it. The Czech lands became the dominant producer of decorative glassware, and the local manufacturer of glass earned international reputation in high Baroque style from 1685 to 1750. Bohemia turned out expert craftsmen who artfully worked with crystal. Bohemian crystal became famous for its excellent cut and engraving. They became skilled teachers of glassmaking in neighbouring and distant countries. By the middle of the 19th century, a technical glassmaking school system was created that encouraged traditional and innovative techniques, as well as thorough technical preparation. In the second half of the 19th century, Bohemia looked to the export trade and mass-produced coloured glass that was exported all over the world. Pairs of vases were produced either in single colour or opaque glass or in two-colour case glass. These were decorated in thickly enamelled flower subjects that were painted with great speed. And these glass objects were made in huge quantities in large factories and were available by mail order throughout Europe and America. And now we'll go on to Bohemian green glass. In 1857, Ludwig Moser founded an engraving and decorating studio in Carlsbad, Bohemia. An experienced engraver, Ludwig Moser was licensed to decorate and sell glassware, but not yet to produce his own glass. So at first he decorated blanks supplied by other factories. In 1892, Moser was able to build his own glassworks, and the company name changed to Ludwig Moser and Sons, as three of his sons, Gustav, Leo, and Richard, became more involved. Moser soon became famous for its exquisite engraved and enamelled designs, as well as its high-quality soda potash glass, which rivaled lead crystal. Rudolf Moser became a director in 1901, followed by Leo Moser in 1908 after Rudolf passed away. In 1916, Richard Moser became the commercial director, with Leo as artistic director. In 1922, Moser acquired the Mayors Neff Glassworks and became Moser and Sons and Mayors Neff Limited. However, due to financial difficulties, the Mayors Neff factory was closed in 1930 and the name became Ludwig Moser and Sons. The Moser company was nationalised in 1948 and from 1950 became part of the Borsk Sklo and known as Karlovarsk Sklo National Corporation. Moser was merged with the Mitsoff Glassworks in 1962. However, production and staff from Mitsoff was moved to Moser in 1964 after Mitsoff was closed. Borsk Sklo became part of Crystalex in 1974, and in 1988, Moser was given independence from Crystalex and became Sklana Moser, and then in 1991, became Moser AS. The Moser factory is still in production today. And now we'll go to Fuga and Fugger and Amp. This company was founded by the brothers Fugger, who were Czech, and later acquired by a German named Towel. So the company had Czech-German origins and has produced some beautiful pieces of decorative art glass, being influenced by Asian, mainly Japanese style. The green glass was one of its very popular lines and is much sought after. And the company sadly closed in 1995. The piece you are seeing there was known as an Aladdin jar and is circa about 1930. And now we're going to Anchor Hocking. Thank you. The Hocking Glass Company was founded in 1905 by Ike Collins, in Lancaster, Ohio, and named after the Hocking River. By 1929, with the arrival of a machine that automatically pressed glass, Hocking became the largest producer of what we now call depression glass, inexpensively produced, but elegant glassware that sold for about 4 cents to 25 cents a piece. In 1934, Hocking and its subsidiary developed the first one-way beer bottle. After surviving the Depression, Hocking Glass merged with the Anchor Cap and Closure Corporation in 1937. And from 1937 to 1983, the company operated the oldest glass manufacturing facility in the United States. Established in 1863 in Salem, New Jersey, Anchor Hocking's wine and spirit bottles are crafted at a factory in Monaca, Pennsylvania. It also had facilities in Elmira, New York, and Streator, Illinois. The first glassware produced as Anchor Hocking Glass Company was Royal Ruby in 1939. And in addition, Anchor Hocking produced forest green glass, Fire King, and Anchor ovenware. In 2006, Anchor Hocking filed for bankruptcy, and then again in 2015. And today, Anchor Hocking's Plant 1 in Lancaster is still in operation, but is only the shadow of what it once was. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the show and tell portion. And I'm not bringing the pieces in any particular order.
Oh, wow.
But sorry about the distortion. I can't. No. Ron, this is your piece. Go ahead. Please talk to it.
This piece is known as a beaded grape. It was produced by the U.S. Glass Company in 1899. And they had extensive table service, which included cake stand, cordial, compotes, round and square pitchers, toothpick holders, 6-inch vase, wine bowl tray, pickle dish, sauces, salt shakers, tumblers, berry sets, bread plate.
Thanks, Ron. Next piece. I believe that's also yours, Ron.
I tried to find the pattern names, but I couldn't find it. Hoping somebody else can help me with this.
Somebody probably online that's muted now. If you want to unmute yourself and make a comment as to the pattern, please do so.
Is that feather?
Yeah, feather duster or something, I thought
There,
it was.
there you go.
Okay, okay.
You might have information on that downstairs.
Next piece. I'm not sure whose this piece is.
That's mine.
Okay, Carol.
I don't know what it is. It's a sugar, I guess it's a sugar shaker. I had very few green pieces in my house, so I had to really go around and look and see. And that piece has been sitting in a cupboard for a zillion years and was totally greasy. So I had to wash it this morning and I tried to shine the silver, but that's all I know about it.
It's like cane pattern,
The cane pattern.
but that's what the bottom, I can't really tell, but yeah, it looks like cane pattern.
Okay,
Lovely piece,
thank you. It's sweet.
Okay, next piece.
very pretty.
It's
Oh,
also mine. Again, I tried, went through my books and I could not find that pattern.
So Ron, again, would appreciate any help. If you happen to recognize the pattern, speak up.
Beating down.
Hmm. unusual rim, isn't it?
Yes,
Very.
I'll take it. Get the butter dish.
I think you could call it toothed zipper.
Okay, just recreate the names.
It does have a zipper on it.
Make them up as we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ron, is this, no, it's Ann. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, that's my butter dish. I don't know what the pattern is. Oh,
So this is Ann Watts butter dish and she's looking for help with the pattern name. I'm gonna say medallion something.
Must be. Mhm. Beautiful condition.
Okay,
they say-
Beautiful condition.
oh, yeah.
We can probably find it.
Well, that's one of Cameron's. It's a
Oh.
fish. It's on the bottom. It says fish.
oh, yes, if you see the shape of the fish, the tail and the scales and the head.
It's a little salt shaker. Salt shaker.
That's just green.
Perfect.
It was given to us after the 50th anniversary by David Keane.
Is it Scottish? Is it?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
thistle.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
That's sweet.
And an ashtray, I
That's
believe,
mine.
Carol?
Yes, I think yes, I did clean it up as well. I tried to shine the brass. Yeah, it's just green. Just green,
Just green,
just green.
right? This is a piece of Marion's children's set.
This is a children's cake plate. It's 3 3/8 inches tall by 6.5 inches diameter. It's called, it's gone for me right now.
Ribbon.
Yeah, ribbon candy. Sorry, it's called ribbon
Oh,
candy.
oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah, and I've had too many things on the go, so it's US glass. That's right, made by US glass. Okay,
So we're gonna throw some curves at you in terms of green. This is green. It's Challoner and Taylor's interpretation of green, and they actually changed it and they called it chartreuse. It's an 1888 vintage, and the pattern is called Forget Me Not.
For syrup, is it?
Yes, it's a
Yes.
syrup picture, yes. Right. And so another variation of green, and this would be referred to as apple green. It's George Duncan and Sons. Pattern is called 1,000 Diamonds, and I think you can see why it's called 1,000 Diamonds, and it's circa 1890. We'll go one more, and then I'm going to open it up to everybody that's online. No, we got 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I wanted to talk about frog green.
Go ahead there.
Oh, okay, this is a circle scroll,
That was
is the name of the pattern. It's made by Northwood in 1903. And all of this pattern has the little bit of opalescence around the top of it, which I think makes it very attractive.
It's a water picture.
Right, big heavy water picture.
And Marion's conned me into just one more because she wants to talk about a variation of green.
Well, not really, yeah, okay. This is called cord drapery. It's a footed bowl. And I like the cording that goes around the stem. It was made by Indiana Tumbler and Goblet Company, which is also known as Greentown Glass. The pattern is number 102. Indiana Tumbler and Goblet started to manufacture green glass in 1897-98. Glassworkers called transparent green frog green at the plant in 1898-89. This name did not extend into the market. Cord drapery was the pattern of the year in 1900.
One of them was in, the poppy was in the Butler's Brothers catalog from 1912. So I think both of them were produced before then. And they would have both had a goldish paint around the upper rim at one point in time. A lot of that's faded by now.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave?
Okay.
Dave and Jenny? You'll have to unmute.
Okay, the camera. No,
Yep,
we should,
we can see the nice lace on your tablecloth. Oh, now we can see you.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, this is a maple leaf butter dish.
Lovely.
Diamond flint circa 1900. The other colors are clear and blue, and that powdery blue. Very nice green, really nice impression. Try to find one of these without any chips on it. It's a part of a 5-piece breakfast set. All colored accordingly. And the second piece we have today is a Gridley pitcher. That's made by B.D. Braidley, circa 1900. This is a reproduction because the original is in clear, but the reproductions come in amber, cobalt blue, as well as clear. It commemorates the battle in Manila Bay in May 1st, 1898.
Oh,
It's a really nice impression, but there are detail issues that can differentiate the reproductions from the originals. One particular defining part, can you see it there? You see that fold underneath the lip, which is this part right here that well defines a reproduction versus an original. The second is the positioning of the soldier. Does that even show? There's a
Yeah.
figure of a soldier. There's a figure of a soldier here right beside Gridley's portrait.
right.
And that soldier is very, very close to the wreath surrounding the portrait. The originals, that soldier is placed well enough away from the portrait. There is a defined space between the two elements. And that is our show and tell.
Is that the Remember the Maine battle? That Americans are so happy, they like to remember the Maine? Was that
No.
the Manila Bay battle?
I'm not sure that that's related, no.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay, Conrad, I believe you indicated you had some show and tell. And likewise, you'll have to unmute. Okay,
Most of you will recognize this vase as being chalet glass, and it is olive color. Chalet artistic glass was in business from 1962 to 1975. And it began in 1958 in Montreal, went through a couple of name changes, and then came to Cornwall. The glass workers who worked at Chalet were trained in Murano, and most likely their fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers were also glass blowers in Murano. They went bankrupt in 1975. And what happened after that is that a number of other studios sprung up in Cornwall, in Montreal, in Niagara Falls, and of all places, Smooth Rock Falls, which is northwest of Timmins. So those last two, the Niagara Falls one and the place near Timmins, are still in operation. Now this vase is, you call it a Jack in the Pulpit style flower vase. It has a mate, which is this shape, cornucopia style Jack in the Pulpit vase. And you can see how each of these vases were made in a similar fashion with some few differences. But there's also a strong connection between the color. The amber color and the avocado color are strongly connected. And what happened in the late 60s and throughout the 70s was the Back to the Land movement. So because of various political and social and economic reasons, people were leaving the cities and taking up residence in the rural areas. And this trend brought lots of changes in terms of the music we listened to, the fashions we wore, the home decor that we had, and in lifestyle changes, and of course in color. And the colors that were popular in this time period were the earth tones. And so that is why we have the amber and the olive color as being representative of this time period.
Green too, but it's not coming through very green, is it, on there?
yep,
That
it's not
looks
bad,
rather
Diane.
blue. Yeah, and that's the Marquis of Lorne. So
Wow.
it has some history to it too. But I wanted to show this piece of it. And there again, it's green, and it's very green as far as I'm looking at it. But look at on the mirror, it definitely looks bluish, doesn't it? I don't understand. Because I'm looking at something green and the picture is blue. But as you know, we collected the Marquis of Lorne, and it was registered in June 1878 from the Greener Company in England. Oh, I've got something else that's green. I was sitting here and I'm looking out where my shelves are with all the wine bottles and so on. And actually, I see 4 pieces of green. I didn't think I had anything green, but this one is for ginger. And it's quite tall and slender. And it really has the big deepness in there. And it even has a flower on the marking at the top. So I really like it. Okay, that's what I've got that's green.
Thanks, Diane. Wesley?
Sure. I brought one example each of American and Canadian. I have lots of green. Most of my green is green depression glass, American depression glass. So that's the first example that I brought. I will show it. have a background, so I'm hoping I'll be able to see it. I put it on a folder here so you could maybe see the impression better. So this is a piece of the pattern that's called Parrot.
Okay.
And it is from Federal Glass. It was a competitor of Anchor Hocking that was mentioned earlier. It was based in Columbus, Ohio. And this was made, the story behind this has a story behind it as a pattern. It also has a story behind it, how I got it. So the story of the pattern is it was supposedly the designer was pushed to come up with a new design, and had just gone on a trip to the Bahamas, is the story. And so developed this pattern that has parrots and palm trees on it. Apparently the company was not happy with the pattern though, because it has a lot of blank space on it. And so for depression glass patterns, they were always worried that it would show scratch marks. And so it was only made for less than a year, around 1931, 32. And then the company remade the molds and sort of repurposed them and turned them into a pattern that's called Madrid, which if you know anything about depression glass, that's one of the more popular and collected patterns, was made for many years in many different colors. So this is sort of linked to the Madrid, but it's called Parrot. And the story that on how I got it is I had never seen a piece of parrot in Canada. I thought I was going to have to go to Glass Country in Ohio to find it. But this summer I was on a trip near Ottawa for a family reunion, and we went to a little antique store in Arnprior. If I don't know if you know the Ottawa Valley area well, but it's about an hour west of Ottawa. And we were in a little antique mall, and my husband is not into glass, but I've indoctrinated him to help me find things in antique stores. So he was a little ahead of me in the store and came by and said, there's some green glass over there that has a parrot on it. And I said, and then I ran over and there was a whole pile of this parrot glass there. So I ended up bringing home 3 pieces with me on the plane from Ottawa. And got my first parrot, so that's exciting. The other piece that I brought is Canadian. It's got and has 2 connections to Alberta. So this is a bottle, was made based on the bottom. It was made by Dominion Glass at the Red Cliff, Alberta plant. And if I'm doing my date interpretations correctly, I think it was made in 1946. And it's also made for a company that produced sparkling beverage in Drumheller, Alberta. And it says on the back, "Thirst's best bet, every bottle sterilized." So I really liked the imprint on here. It was very Art Deco looking. I'm a big fan of Art Deco, so that's what I don't normally collect bottles, but it was green and it was Canadian and made by Dominion Glass, so it had to come home with me. I found this earlier in the summer just at a store here in Edmonton. So those are my 2 contributions to green glass today.
Thanks, Wesley. Anybody else with a piece of show and tell?
I have one piece as well. This is a piece of Art Nouveau glass, about 1900, and it is a mixed color. It's green and it's white and it's brown, and then they have mixed it, and it was probably made in Bohemia about 1900, give or take about 5 years so. And there's a pair of these in the Royal Ontario Museum, and this is not one of them. The pair had been changed into lamps, and we could still show one, and we usually just showed one on display. No need to show 2, but in fact, when we were at the 400 Antique Market up near Barrie, came across this. And the dealer must have seen the one in the ROM, because they said, this is the other pair to the one in the ROM. And of course, it's not. It's just another one. But it's probably Bohemian. The craze was, of course, with the glass in the United States and with those pieces being made that influenced. But in fact, this kind of glass was already produced in Venice in the 1870s. So people like the glassmakers in the States just really copied these and were influenced by them. But the real influence, of course, was from the ancient glass world. And this is an ancient piece that's about 1st century to 2nd century. And one of my friends had that and decided to give it to me. And of course, the ROM has, when you're working there, it has a big, like an inch and a half or so, document on collecting and so forth. They wanted to make sure the staff weren't dealing in things and whatever. And I thought, well, I'll just take this to the Greek and Roman department and see if they wanted it first before I keep it. And in fact, I took it to Dr. John Hayes, who was great in Greek and Roman, and he took one look and he said, oh, not another one of those things. We've got too many of them already. So he said, just keep it. And so you can see that it has a kind of iridescence. It's almost clear, actually, in certain angles, but it's the iridescence in the glass that has changed over the years because it's been in a tomb probably or underground, and it's the moisture, of course, that's done that. And it's these ones that we're following at the turn of the century that was crazy about this kind of earlier glass. So that's mine.
Thanks, Brian. Gina, could I turn to you for a few words?
Yes, and actually I must apologize to Dave and Ginny. I mentioned about their the Maine, but actually the Manila Bay battle in 1898, the Americans sunk 3 Spanish ships. I just happened to be reading about this today. They sunk 3 Spanish ships and successfully refloated and refitted them. And it was kind of considered a major coup for the American Navy. So that's some of the background to the Manila Bay story that's illustrated on your beautiful green jug. So just because I knew I was wrong the first time around. I've been asked to just say a few words, and this today was wonderful. I was very taken aback with everybody's beautiful glassware. And I especially wanted to thank Pam and Tony for hosting everybody live and Zoom and showing their beautiful glass collection, and all of you who just the stories of how we, Wesley saying, I'm there and I'm flying green glass home, and you guys keep going to Perry Sound and decorating yourselves like animals. And this is wonderful. This is what makes this group so vibrant to me. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who took part.